This is a practical tutorial. Hello everyone. This voyage will transport us immediately from the image snapshot created by the Etruscans, called The Diver, as seen on the cover of Soriano Image 2017, towards new frontiers, in particular towards the new photographic frontier. In this tutorial, we will examine photography in order to explore space and time, that is to say, moving the camera on purpose, but not with little movements, but with large spaces walked with the diaphragm of the camera open. In particular, we will speak of FoTotempismo, the concept created in 2010 and first seen in a photograph in 2011. The important point is to obtain the image with a single photographic snapshot, a single photographic action without adding or taking away anything with post-production programs, thus developing the film as commonly done and the raw as if it were an analogic film. Taking a picture of the hypothetical part of a cube in space, we will photograph the front side and then photograph the back side, the hidden side. In this case, we will move, walking with the camera in hand, during the duration of the shot, and we will cross space-time, if not spaces in time, always with a single shot. To create an image that represents multiple perspectives, we must therefore move and reach other perspectives. Under this circumstance, we obtain the dematerialization of the subject, or a trail, a trajectory, where the figure loses its image but maintains its essence. Thus, in this way, trajectories are determined by movement, either by the subject that moves or by the artist who moves in space. The artist moving makes a gesture by moving the camera in space. As a result, the gesture creates a sign, that sign which we in photography discover for the first time in such a consistent way. But now let us see how the gesture is made. We have in front of us as image a sculpture of Gianluca Bagliani, which we will now photograph using the method I have just described. To do this, I take a camera. Any type of camera can be fine. In this case, I will use a Polaroid, but I can choose cameras with all the photographic sensors that can be used, whether they are analog or digital. At this point, we will try to create a photograph in FoTotempismo, regulating all the commands manually, including the focalization. I will adjust the focus, the diaphragm that will be open according to the depth of the field I want. The time of exposure in this case will be between 2 and 3 seconds. To obtain the correct photographic sensitivity, if the sensor is digital, we must adjust the ISO, which gives us the correct exposure. Now we will see how to make the gesture. In this case, I focus on the profile of the subject, placing it on the left side of the frame. Once the time has been set, suppose 3 seconds, I will divide the time of the execution that I will perform. 1/3 of the time that I will dedicate to the first perspective, for which I remain motionless in the first position. The second third of the time I will use it to move to the second perspective, after which I will use the last third of the time photographing, stopping to impress the last image. But one thing is clear, the perspectives can be taken also with intermediate stops, one or more, as many as we wish. Now let's see how the gesture is created. Frame the subject and place it on the left in the frame, leaving about half the frame free from the subject to be photographed, after which I start to shoot. I stop and stay still for about a third of the exposure time. So I move and adjust the frame by placing the subject on the right side, creating the composition I want. So I'm still in the last third of the time that ends the shot. When the work is completed, let us look at the result. With a normal photograph, we have this image, an image that illustrates the subject that we have photographed but not interpreted. Diversely, we will look at the photograph obtained with our shoot, and we will see that it is totally different. This is the photograph in which we see the profile of the subject on the left side, after which there is a trajectory created by my movement. So I moved from the first shot of the subject to the third or last, also rotating the camera to compose the final image. I got this result. Analyzing various cameras to use, this is a camera which has the optical viewfinder independent of the photographic lens that allows us to establish the initial composition of the image and then follow the subject to the final perspective. This photograph recovery reflects the previously established project. If we use a reflex camera or a different type of camera, the process is more complex, and this does not allow us to perfectly follow the actions previously planned. In this case, we need to better plan the shooting in FoTotempismo. In these cases, what should we do? We can see the initial image, but we have to predetermine which paths in space we need to make, how long it takes to get through this space, after which we design the composition of the final scene, our final stop or final perspective. Clearly, in these cases, even though planning the action to fulfill, but not being able to follow the details, we must make trial attempts that indicate how we must move to correctly complete the various paths and stops. In this case, we can avail ourselves of other precautions, such as external electronic viewfinders external to the camera, or sports viewfinders, visors parallel to the camera, etc. These are the solutions that each artist will search automatically. Thus, there is a project that exists, a project before the shoot. This means that we cannot improvise a photograph in FoTotempismo. Now we look at what happened in the image. In the image, we can see there is the first perspective, in this case on the left side. Having moved the camera, the subject has been dematerialized as seen in the traces and trajectories, after which the image is totally destroyed and in the final phase is rematerialized with a different perspective. Those sections of this image indicated with red circles, which you see, are the first and second perspectives, while the dematerialization is indicated with a blue circle, and the rematerialization is indicated with a green circle. In this whole process, new tensions and rhythms are created. From where do these tensions come? These tensions are created by two or more images that we have composed and imprinted on the sensor. These images seem to dialogue. In fact, they ought to be composed especially in a specific way so that these tensions have a specific value. Tensions are already present in a snapshot conventional photograph and are caused by the subject, but in this circumstance they are accentuated exponentially. Here we see these tensions indicated with a white circle. In this image of Marcia, we can see the tensions created during the shooting with the looks that cross each other. One of these looks is downward, as if Marcia is pensive and subjected by the other Marcia, as if to say, "What have I done to create this mess?" Mythology relates that Marcia was skinned alive after losing the challenge with Apollo. I take my camera again to create the gesture. I click, I move, I stop, and I compose the photographic image. In this case, the gesture, as in other disciplines, determines the sign. That sign is found in painting, in sculpture, and in many other arts. And in this case, where the camera is used as if it were a brush, a chisel, or any other instrument that leaves a sign. This sign we can see in this image encircled in yellow. Thus we can affirm that phototempism, different from a conventional photographic shot, leaves a sign that establishes phototempism as an art. Thank you for your kind attention. Until the next tutorial.